you fight or you mistrust automation instead of feeding it. I equate everything to basketball. If my only go-to move was straight down the middle for a layup, I would be a terrible basketball player, which I am. Hey, if Google is letting us use this tool or pushing this tool, maybe it's best for us to utilize it and feed into the automation instead of maybe not even using it. How's it going, everybody? It's Villanoz here, another episode of the PPC Cave. And today, our title for this episode is Signs You're Out of Touch with Google Ads. Signs you're out of touch with Google Ads. And this is an episode that's not only for y'all, but also for me. I have to remind myself to not be out of touch with Google Ads. Google Ads is an ever-changing landscape, very dynamic, and there's multiple changes each year, maybe even each month, and we have to keep up. And so I don't want anyone to feel singled out here. This was just one of many different ideas that I've had recently. I've been kind of reflective with the way I want to take the PPC Cave in regards to the episodes and the type of content that we provide. And sometimes it's good to step away from optimizations within Google Ads or tools that we use to better Google Ads performance, but also provide more of the psychology or philosophy behind the search or behind how we manage Google Ads. And so, yeah, that's why we're going to talk about signs you're out of touch with Google Ads here in 2025. The very, very first one is you're obsessed with exact match. And for search campaigns, we understand back in 2015 to about 2018-ish, exact match was essentially king. You know, every dollar at that point was laser targeted. We had single keyword ad groups for the OGs that remember that. For the OGs that remember that it was Google ads were AdWords, not Google Ads, around that same time. And everyone thought back then broad match is too risky, it's too wasteful, but the reason why I'm doing this episode now and just being a little bit of not devil's advocate, because I do believe these things that I'm saying. Right now, Google match types have evolved. That's just plain and simple. There isn't truly an exact keyword anymore. As we know, there's a lot of variants, exact match variants. Intent-based matching is definitely smarter now in 2025 than it was back then. Google has provided us more data, understands more of the patterns. The journey of search is different now. There's definitely more data to back that up, as Google has accumulated so much here in the last couple of years. And, I do believe intent-based matching is one of the reasons why exact match isn't always going to work anymore. Back then, it might have, if you had the right copy, if you had the right landing page, those keywords were aligned, all of those things, budget, but insisting on exact match only, that's just going to limit your reach, going to limit your opportunities and your learning, essentially. So embrace broad match, come to the dark side, embrace broad match. And I have friends in the industry that if their exact match search campaign or ad group is not going to work, they would rather turn it off than to try anything else other than exact match. No phrase and broad, no just broad. It has to be exact match. But I think that now the way that we're doing things in 2025, there's not that linear way to search anymore. Every search pattern or journey will flow in and out of high and low funnel. You don't just search, even think about how you search. I can search 2 keywords, best basketball, or I could search really, really long tail, best men's leather indoor basketball. The essence is still similar, but the way that we search will flow in and out of long to short tail keywords, high to low funnel, intent to research. So it's this way that we search nowadays, especially involving mobile phones, where it could be very informal. And broad can bring you better, you know, performance if we're less constricted in regards to just only bidding on exact match, right? So the way that we could utilize not only exact is really be on top of our search term, our search reports, for insight, uh, guide that automation of broad with negative keywords and negative keyword lists. That's so important here in the future. I can't talk about it right now, but I'm hoping to be able to work with some organizations that facilitate this analysis of keywords, but don't want to get too deep into that right now. But yeah, definitely involve other match types in your search campaigns aside from just exact. Just because if you're thinking only exact is going to work, that's the only thing that I want to bid on, you might be out of touch with Google Ads here in 2025. Second point, you fight or you mistrust automation instead of feeding it. You mistrust automation instead of feeding it. And I'm not saying that there's no place for manual bidding or you have to do things only with a automated bid strategy or only use Performance Max. All of those things, everything inside Google Ads has a place in time. I equate everything to basketball, right? If my only go-to move was straight down the middle for a layup, I would be a terrible basketball player, which I am. So yeah, it's good to have that toolbox and understand, hey, if Google's letting us use this tool or pushing this tool, maybe it's best for us to utilize it and feed into the automation instead of maybe not even using it. What I'm talking about here, of course, the very, very most obvious thing is Performance Max. The more that we feed the automation with Performance Max, aka providing assets, videos, photos, full ad copy, multiple asset groups in your Performance Max campaign, not just a catch-all, different product listings within those asset groups inside Performance Max. Really take your time to set up a Performance Max campaign. You're going to hate it just because there's so much to do, so much to see. So many things you have to put inside a Performance Max to really do it right. And most of us, I am guilty, we don't do it right because we just want to get it done. We're so used to the shopping campaigns where we just highlight all the products we want and run it. Right? The fastest search or the fastest campaign ever that Google has made, a shopping campaign. We're used to that. But no, you have to get on Google Merchant Center for Performance Max. Make sure all the images, assets, like I said, I mentioned site links, all of that, promotions, all of that inside of it. So really feed Performance Max campaign structure to be able to really utilize the automation that it has, the search themes, all audiences, all of that. I think that's just very, very important. You have to feed the machine to get something out of it. Since all things are automated at this point, you have to really make sure that there's enough signals that Google can pull from to make sure that who is being targeted is accurate, right? Yeah, I think that goes for a lot of people. I think, I was skeptical. A lot of people are still skeptical with Performance Max. It's opaque, it's a black box, doesn't give us enough insights, but it's there in your Google Ads account. So you have to make sure you feed the machine and instead of just shying away from it, not using it, things like that. Third, you think your job as a PPC manager or in-house, whatever, you think your job as a PPC manager is only inside the platform. This probably means you're out of touch with Google Ads, right? 2015, 2018 mindset, success is going to come from the campaign tweaks, the ad rotation, the bid adjustments, all the A/B tests and experiments, that the PPC basically is equated to being able to master the interface. That's not how it works nowadays in 2025. I believe that the most successful PPC managers are strategists. full stack digital marketers, partially a creative, creating things on Canva or even on Google Studios, the Google Merchant Center Studio. I don't know what it's called, where you do the AI stuff in there. And also you're basically part business consultant. You have to understand who you're driving traffic to. What is the lead generation website about? What is the e-commerce website about? Who are the competitors in those spaces? What are the lows and highs of seasonality when it comes to those of traffic? You can't isolate media buying from branding or conversion rate optimization or just the overall business model. If you think that being a PPC manager is only inside Google Ads, then you're going to have a rude awakening with your clients going to leave you, because there's a lot of things that happen outside of Google Ads that is going to impact how you do inside Google Ads. I've had many clients that first start up. A lot of them don't know, how to navigate things. So I've worn so many different hats. I'm like, hey, your product page for this e-commerce website doesn't even say that the product is in stock, does not say that the product is going to ship out of the US, doesn't give us any information. Maybe we should fix that. So I'll go in there and fix it. It's very disgusting way for me to try to get that across by just writing in red, in stock, ready to ship from Kansas, about 2 to 5 business days. But that's an integral part of e-commerce. When is the customer going to receive their product? And that's outside of Google Ads, outside of the account. So if you think your job is only inside the Google Ads platform, Google Ads is a tool. It's not the whole toolbox, right? So you have to be a well-rounded full stack digital marketer. I talked about this last time. If you're doing e-commerce and you're driving perfect traffic, but you're not getting conversions, I sure hope that your conversion summary has add to cart or begin checkout on there, because you could see the discrepancy between actual purchases from said time period, begin checkout and add to carts. If you see that the begin checkout and add to cart is higher than the purchase, then you might have to do email marketing or some type of sequence to bring those people in, remind them, nudge them, provide a discount, final offer, whatever it may be. So you can strike with the irons hot, then you'll be attributed that conversion. You'll see that purchase go up, purchase number conversion go up. So like I said, if you're thinking that your job is only Google Ads within a platform, you are probably out of touch with how to manage Google Ads in 2025. Number 4, you silo campaigns by channel. Back then, right, we had separate campaigns, separate budgets, separate strategies, separate audiences, displays for awareness, searches for intent, YouTube is optional, things like that. But now everything with Performance Max leading the way, Performance Max is multi-channel. And so are your buyers, so are the people looking at your website, deciding if they should go with you for XYZ lead generation offering. Customers bounce between search, social, video, email, applications. Your campaigns need to reflect that. That's why we have all these different campaign types within Google Ads, is because of the way people are searching nowadays. Things are not siloed anymore. Everything is integrated. Everything meshes. You have to use blended campaigns like PMax, or you're leaving a lot of stuff on the table, money on the table. You have to break down internal silos and just be able to optimize holistically across all the touch points that your searcher is going to have. Focus on your message of consistency and your branding and your creative strategy within Google Ads, not just technical segmentation. These are just for women. This is just for men. This is just for 65 and above. No, there's a place and time for that. But if that's all we're thinking about, we're missing the whole point of how to be successful with a multi-channel, multi-touch point search landscape here in 2025. Last but not least, you only care about return on ad spend or cost per acquisition or cost per conversion. Back then, the mindset was, we got a 3 return on ad spend, we're good. Or campaigns are judged in isolation. There's not really any deeper context. Nowadays, attribution is crazy, messy. Yes, we have things that could holistically bring you that accurate picture of where the conversion came from. But is it 100% accurate? Can you bet all your money on that? No. So it's really important to take ROAS, CPA, cost per conversion with a grain of salt. Return on ad spend is not going to tell you who you're reaching or who you're growing brand equity or if you're growing your brand equity or acquiring new customers. Return on ad spend is not going to tell you that. Neither is target CPA or your cost per acquisition. It's not going to tell you that. A campaign with a lower return on ad spend could be more valuable if it's bringing in high lifetime value users or new users in general. So it's really important. If someone is super obsessed with return on ad spend, okay, cool. I'm going to run a brand campaign for you so that your brand is the only thing that we're paying ads for or paying clicks for. So or if you want a high cost per acquisition, I'm going to do a brand campaign. No, that's not the job of PPC manager or advertiser or marketer. Advertiser and marketer at scale is to grab people that don't even know who you are, which is going to be super irrelevant, and you might break a couple eggs along the way. But that's essentially what we want to do. We want to expand to the irrelevant to make that relevant. So if we're only caring about return on ad spend and CPA, that's a short-sighted picture of what we're getting. The modern approach now is focused on profit, not just return on ad spend. Do you understand what your profit is in regards to how much you're paying for the salary of this in-house PPC manager, or even your freelancer, how much you're paying them per month? Add that in with your budget. Then, not just the ROAS on the screen, because that's very deceiving. Any kickbacks or returns or selling fees, that needs to be incorporated also. And you also have to ask yourself nowadays in 2025, what's the quality of these conversions? Is it just under 5-second calls? Or is it a 30-second call, 1-minute call that's going to lead to an actual form fill or an actual generated quality lead? We got to use blended metrics. Everything is blended nowadays. Understand what marketing efficiency ratio is, or segment by new versus returning customers. All of these things are what we should be focusing on here in 2025 as the landscape is changing, ever evolving. All right. So that was my whole soapbox. You could tell I was pretty passionate about that, just because maybe I'm speaking to myself also, but I also see a bunch of stuff on social media and stuff like that, all these gurus and influencers. PPC in general is very cliquish, and me and Ryan have found a way to kind of like not be part of that. So I want to be able to display or provide context and content about things that aren't really talked about, maybe because it's taboo, don't want to ruffle feathers, but we're here to keep it real here. We're here to just be perfectly honest and, review these 5 things. Don't review them once, review them every month, just because it's easy to slip back into these ways, just because it's probably provided all of us success somehow, some way in the past. Just because if you've been in the game for a good amount of time, these things that I mentioned to you was how things were running back in 2015 or 2017. So it's kind of hard to teach old dog new tricks sometimes, as they say. But yeah, that's it for now. I want to remind everybody that if you want to try Riverside, we do all our stuff on Riverside. Joel, our video editor, does a great job bringing the social media and the video editing every Monday, 12 a.m. Mountain Time, and he uses Riverside. We have a Riverside, I guess it's free trial. I don't know if it's free. We get a kickback, basically. we get money if you try. Click the link in the description. Again, referral for $100 for a new signed client. You could go with me or Ryan. But if you sign with Ryan, he's going to pay you. If you sign with me, I'll pay you. So if you have any client that's willing to, get on board with PPC management or just digital marketing with us, we'll pay you $100. And again, it's 12 a.m. Mountain Time, Spotify video, Spotify, YouTube. We're on social media. Follow us, subscribe, comment, email any questions to theppccave@gmail.com. And if there's nothing else, bye for now.